I'm going to recap. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the sun, guys. So I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. Um, because yeah, it's burning the living crap out of me. Okay, let me sit like this and try and do this while I sit. Okay, the first fight was what do you call him? Shara Lampus, I think. Gregorio, yeah, it was. Okay, let me get started. The first fight was Shara Lampus, Gregorio versus Chad Anheliger. Um, I felt like he would actually be a little bit more successful than he was. Chad looked incredible in that fight, so big up to Chad. Um, I I got this one wrong. My subscribers got it right. On to the next one. Thiago Moises versus Mitch Ramirez. Um, there was nothing interesting about this particular fight. I think maybe Ramirez, if he was on a full camp, maybe, I'm not saying he would have performed a little bit better, but it's a maybe. My subscribers got this one correct. I got it wrong. On to the next one. Um, Amorium versus McCann. Um, I think Amorium looked incredible. My subscribers and I got this fight correctly. Um, she looked really good. I don't feel like there's a lot to say about this particular fight. Silva versus or Kulibao versus Silva. I think Kulibao looked incredible. Just that Silva was a little bit more aggressive. He was a little bit more, or rather, lending the bigger shots. I don't know what that means, but nonetheless, I picked Silva. My subscribers got this one wrong. They picked Kulibao. On to the next one. Um, Flyweight. Yeah, Jafael versus Ode Osborne. My subscribers and I picked Andre Bergen Jafel Filio. Yes, we got this one correctly. Jafel looked incredible. It's always nice to see flyweights that can finish fights, because a lot of them cannot, and it's not necessarily entertaining. Especially because now, when you look at the champion, he gets tired a little bit quickly. He's a good champion. He's beaten a lot of people in his division, and I guess that's why at UFC 301 he's facing like someone who's ranked number 10, Steve Erceg, if I'm not mistaken. So it just shows how dominant he is. Just that I feel like he doesn't have finishing abilities, or maybe it's because he's at a high level. So when you are the champion, you're always facing like top level competitors. What are you talking about? Okay, I'm talking about UFC Tuivasa versus like the whole entire card for Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. So we got this one correctly. We picked Jeffel Filio. Um, Josiane Nunes versus Chelsea Chandler. Um, I think Nunes won the first round and the third round. I could have been wrong. I need to look at the fight again, but it's horrible to think that these two women, or rather at the very least, Chelsea Chandler is ranked in the UFC. Like, she's a horrible fighter, and I'm not trying to be mean, but she's not a good fighter. And it's interesting to think that she is actually ranked in the UFC. Like, think about that. Hi, Daniela. So it's incredible. I feel like the women's MMA should start at top 10, not top 15, because I don't know, man. Like, It's horrible. That fight was horrible. There was no technique. She was running from, like it was horrible to watch. But nonetheless, I think Nunes won that fight, round one and round three. But maybe I need to watch the fight again. Maybe it's because I picked Nunes. But nonetheless, we move on. My subscribers and I picked Nunes. We got this one wrong. On to the next one. Mike Davis versus Nathan Levy. This was a really nice fight. I didn't like some of the decisions that Mike Davis made because I feel like if you drop someone, why do you jump to their back? Why not just punch them up until why not punch them up until like they're out, as opposed to trying to grapple with them and giving them an opportunity to recover. But nonetheless, I think he's an incredible fighter. I'm looking forward to actually seeing him perform even more because like he was injured. I was really excited about him and then he got injured. So I'm really looking forward to actually seeing him perform a little bit more. Um, but yeah, my subscribers and I picked Mike Davis, so we got this one correctly. On to the next one, GM3 versus Brian Barberina. My subscribers and I picked what do you call it, GM3 on this particular fight. He surprised me a little bit, because he was a little bit better than I anticipated. The thing about my predictions, right? What I love about how I predict fights is that I give you an idea of whether or not this fight is going to be close or not, and you are able to decide if you want to take the risk or not. So even the fights that I get wrong, I actually tell you, and I predict with percentages, and I love that I do that because then you have an idea of how sure I am about my predictions, and thank you, man. I tell you so that you make an informed decision. So that even when I get them wrong, even if I get like six wrong, I know that I told you that it could be a coin flip, number one. But I'll get to the fights. Maybe I'll do a summary once I'm done with going recapping the whole entire card. But basically, a lot of the fights that I got wrong, I actually predicted that it's going to be close. But nonetheless, my subscribers and I picked the GM3. We picked correctly. On to the next one. Kianzad versus what's her name? Chason, something like that. We picked Macy Chason. I think she looked good. She looked improved. Um, but I don't know how she's going to perform against the top of the division. But nonetheless, she looked good. I think she's better than having Pennington as the champion, which is, I think, a disgrace in my opinion. I don't want to be me, but like Pennington is not good, man. She's an average fighter, and for her to be the champion of the division, I don't think is good. So hopefully, maybe this Macy gets the opportunity to fight for the belt, and hopefully she becomes a champion because I don't think Pennington deserves it. Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dulgarian. I made a separate live stream about this and how horrible the decision was on this particular card. Something needs to be done about these judges. If we're not going to remove judges, I think we need to, at the very least, hold them accountable for making horrible decisions, because we can't go online and complain about decisions and nothing happens. We are only told investigations are being done, and then we never hear about what were the results of those investigations and what was done. All we see is the same judges coming back and judging the same fights and doing robbing over and over again. It happens every year. Like it's going to happen again next year and the year after that, which is horrible. But let me not go too deeply into that. I made a separate stream about this. Um, I picked Isaac Dulgarian. My subscribers picked correctly. They picked Christian Rodriguez. I guess if you want to say it's correct. On to the next one. St. Prue versus Kennedy Nzechuku. I think I overestimated how good Kennedy is. Early in his career, I think maybe he was fighting people who were not necessarily as good, but I'm seeing him struggle whenever he fights someone who's a little bit higher in the rankings. He starts to struggle. Um, yeah, which is sad because I thought he had a lot of talent. Maybe he should try and bulk up and move to. Are you MMA fighter? No, I'm not an MMA fighter, my dude. I'm not an MMA fighter. So I think Kennedy Zechukwu should try maybe bulking up and go into heavyweight. I think he lacks power at light heavyweight for whatever reason, or maybe he needs to lose weight and maybe gain a little bit more muscle. Whatever the case is, at the light heavyweight, I don't know if he's going to even be in the top 10. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know how he even managed to beat Carlos Ulberg, because Ulberg looks incredible right now. Maybe it's because it was early in his career, but hey, what can we do? We move on. Um, we picked correctly. Incorrectly, I mean. My subscribers and I picked Kennedy Zechukwu. I'm regretting that decision. Brian Battle versus Angelosa. I love I love Brian Battle. I underestimated him. I watched him from the Ultimate Fighter, right? And I would watch him fight, and I'm like, this dude is going to lose. Um, but what do you call the guy who faced him and who was supposed to fight Bo Nickel? I forgot his name. It's not important. I didn't think he would actually win the Ultimate Fighter, and he keeps on proving me wrong. His personality is he was performing at the best level he has ever performed in when he was fighting this particular fight. I think he was right with Angelosa, even though he was using colorful language, but nonetheless, I think he was right. Angelosa was being beaten up, and he was like, I'm dipping, I'm getting out of this situation. I'm not gonna fight this guy because number one, either I'm going to be tortured for the next. How many minutes were left in that particular fight? It was the second round, and then there was a couple of minutes left. So he thought to himself, "Am I going to say I want to continue fighting, get whooped, or get knocked out? One of the two, get finished or get beaten for 3 rounds." And I was like, "Nah, man, I can't see." And then after the fight, he has the energy now to say, "I will kill. I will do all these things to you." I don't want to say that particular word that he actually mentioned. I think Brian Battle should actually receive a ranked fighter, maybe Kevin Holland next, because I used to be a big fan of I still am, but I don't think Kevin Holland is as good as I thought he was. So maybe give Brian Battle Kevin Holland, and let's see how good Brian Battle is. But he looked incredible in this particular fight. Um, so yeah, let's get to the main event of the evening. Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. Ah, it's sad to see what's happening with Tuivasa's career because I don't feel like he's taking it seriously. He should take notes from Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis started losing weight at like the age of 37, 38, which is basically late in his career. What do you think about Jake Paul? Let me finish this, and then we can talk a little bit about those type of things. Um, so I think Ty is not taking his career seriously. I predicted it once he got into the top five, and I can't remember who I told, but I said Tai Tuivasa is not going to win any fight. He's going to drop out of the rankings and never win it, and that's what's happening. I simply picked him because I felt like he had the ability to finish a fight a lot quicker, but I knew that if he was taken down, it was going to be a problem. And I did say that on my predictions and all those type of things, and which comes down to what I wanted to say initially in my stream, which was basically me saying, "Gore, whenever I make my predictions," which is why I would urge even people who simply watch my shorts, because a lot of my subscribers watch my shorts and not necessarily other things on the channel. But I think my live streams, especially my predictions and breakdowns, are important because I tell you how confident I am and whether it's a coin flip or not. And in most cases, the fights that I get wrong are the ones I tell you that this is going to be close 50-50 or 60. Usually, the fights that I get wrong are the ones that I maybe say it's 60-40 or sometimes even 70. 70-30. Those are the fights that most likely I'm like, okay, this might not go my way. But yeah, nonetheless, I don't know what's happening with Tai Tuivasa. I think he has a lot of talent. I just wish he would put in a lot more effort into actually making his career a little bit better than what it is right now. Let me answer this question. What do you think about Jake Paul? I don't know, man. I think Jake Paul has potential. I think maybe let's hope maybe he's training to, because ultimately we're speaking about someone who doesn't necessarily have combat experience. So maybe he's using these old fighters to gain a little bit of experience while still making money. Because if he was to take the normal route, which is fighting boxers who are not popular, he wouldn't be in the main event, right? So I think maybe he's trying to gain a little bit more experience